Hey everybody, Moltrap here, and I'm basically just going to do a little quick preview of all the new maps that are going to be in the next round of the Pro League. If in case you didn't know, the Pro League is basically divided up into 5 different rounds, and the Winners League itself was the third round of the Pro League season. And so we're going to be starting the fourth round of the Pro League season this week, and there's several new maps in the map pool for this part of the season. So I thought I'd give them a quick overview. Now I'm not going to be giving them a very exhaustive analysis. Hopefully, if I have time, I'll go back and do a closer look, an individual video for each new map in particular. But in the meantime, I just wanted to give you guys a quick overview of them all. So you knew what to expect watching games coming up in the Pro League pretty soon. Anyways, the first new map, it's not really a new complete map, but it's a new version of a map, is Neo Medusa. And basically, again, I'd have to take a closer look, but the primary change that I see is that they've made the middle of the map buildable. So that's going to change things a little bit. It was pretty biased in favor of Protoss against Terran, so I wanted to give Terran a little bit more of an advantage on this map. It's not going to change things a whole lot in the early game, because part of the reason why this is bad for Terran against Protoss was because Protoss could do a 10-15 gate build and get out easy, a lot of Dragoons very quickly and put a lot of early pressure on the Terran, make it hard for them to get expansion down, that sort of thing. So that's not really going to change because, again, the Terran still doesn't have a ramp to defend. But in the later game, it will make it a lot easier for Terran to do a slow push across the map because they'll be able to build turrets as they go along. And so it'll make it a lot easier for them to do that. In the past, they couldn't build turrets. They had nothing to turn back arbiters or shuttles dropping zealots or anything like that. So it was really difficult to hold the middle or your fourth base. And so it'll be a lot easier for Terrans to do that now that they can build turrets and what have you in the middle of the map. So that's pretty much it for Neo Medusa. That looks like it's pretty much the same except for that major change there. The next map is being called God's Garden, and this is a brand new map. And this reminds me a lot of Loki 2, or, well, I guess the whole Loki line. It's kind of like a 4-player Loki. Loki was the one where you had a low ground natural expansion behind your base and in front of your base. I mean, basically the top right spawn looks almost exactly like the top right spawn in Loki 2. So it's going to make for some macro play. It's going to make drops important, that sort of thing, because you can build down into your natural expansion. Kind of again, looking at the top right spawn, you can build down the ramp into your natural expansion there, and then later on you can easily take a third base without having to change your defenses at all. It's going to make it really easy for Terran to get 3 bases, for instance, that sort of thing. But if you notice, there is also a ridge, a raised ridge overlooking. It doesn't look buildable just from the picture. Again, I haven't had time to really go in and look at these maps in detail and play them or anything. But it doesn't look buildable, but you can still, it's going to be really nice for Terrans to go in there and plant some tanks up there and shell the heck out of that third base pretty easily. So should be an interesting map. Loki made for some very interesting play, and so this should play out pretty interesting as well. Again, it doesn't look like the middle of the map either is very buildable. So it might be hard for Terrans to do a slow push across the map, but there are good swaths of land out in front of all the spawns that you can build on, so they'll still be able to put down turrets and proxy gateways and all kinds of fun stuff like that. The next map is called Heartbreak Ridge. As you can see, it's a 2-player map. It's a little bit convoluted in a way. It's just ways to go all over the place. You can go all around on either side. There's these spokes that head towards the middle. The spokes are kind of ridges, sort of ramps that are kind of like the ramps on Chapongryong. So it'll be nice for Terrans to try and take the high ground on those. But again, it's just a big circular thing in the middle, so it'll be really easy for players to get flanks and that sort of thing. So it should be very interesting to see what kind of stuff goes on here, since there's so many different routes you can take and that kind of thing. But I mean, there are also some very defensible positions at play here. It's easy to take your natural expansion, although there's a really big choke outside your natural expansion, and a very small choke leading into your main. So it'll be really easy to defend your main early on, not as easy as if you had a ramp, but nonetheless. And then later on in the game, it'll be harder to hold your expansions because your expansions are going to be all over the map. Anyway, so that's a brief look at Heartbreak Ridge, is what they're calling it. The next map is Battle Royale, which is another interesting map. The map makers are just going crazy these days, huh? Now, again, I haven't had the time to go in and actually play and really look at the dynamics of this, but it looks like what they've done is they have set up double assimilators um, outside of the natural expansion of both players' bases, kind of like the ones on Troy is what I'm thinking, where once you destroy the assimilators, once you defeat the assimilators, then it makes the choke point smaller, and so you can effectively destroy them to make a wall, an impenetrable wall basically. But the natural expansion is inside of that wall this time, so it's going to make for a little bit different play than Troy. Troy, you saw a lot of rushing because of you could break down those assimilators very quickly and lock the other person in. We might not see as much of that because if you lock them in, they still have a very easy expansion. We might see players even locking themselves in. It might be fun to see them destroy the assimilators and just go 2 base carriers or something silly like that. And then there's expansions just all over the map in crazy places, and you have to either mine out these patches or destroy the buildings to get to them. So it's really going to be very interesting dynamics as far as how you're going to be able to get around the map and that sort of thing. So it should be fun, and there's of course this kind of double expansion in the middle that will be fun to fight over as well. Anyway, the last new map is a map called Outsider. Good old Ashworld tile set. We haven't seen an Ashworld tile set map in a while. We obviously had Neo Requiem, but that was kind of an older map actually that they just threw back in. Another 3-player map actually. So again, it's going to have a lot of the I was going to say it's going to have some of the dynamics of the 3-player map. Sometimes 3-player maps you can rush on because if you scout one direction, they're the other. But in this case, it looks like there's very, very difficult paths to follow to get to the other bases. So, it might be more difficult to rush than you might think. It looks like there's actually a shorter route between bottom right and mid left, actually. So that might play into things as well. Top right is kind of up on its own, and you have to go all the way around. I think you have to go all the way around the right side of that big thing in the center to get over to the left side base. So the spawn positions might really play into the dynamics of the games. And again, we're seeing a map where you can go down another ramp to a third base that's very easy to get. But in this case, the gas is on the other side of the mineral, so you could trick a probe through and then have a gas expansion that is a little bit more vulnerable, or you can put it just on the inside of the minerals, and then you have a mineral-only expansion. Then it's easier to get your troops down that ramp to defend that base if necessary. So that could come into play, and again, there's just kind of random bases all over the map. Lots of mineral lines separating them from different parts of the map. So again, wouldn't be surprised if we see players using tricks to trick their SCVs, probes, drones through to make hidden bases and that kind of thing off in the sides. So again, just these are really, really interesting maps. There's a lot of kind of weird dynamics being put into play here, especially with Battle Royale. It's gonna be a crazy, crazy map. So I'm really looking forward to this season of the Pro League. We're probably going to see some really interesting games, and yeah. So I hope you guys at least have a basic understanding of what the new maps are going to look like and what some things that might come into play are going to be. Again, this is just really, really superficial analysis, though. I'm just kind of looking at them real quick here and just saying the basics of, and just giving you a chance to look at them for a second and see what they're like, so that you kind of know a little bit of what to expect when they're played in the Pro League. And again, if I do have time, I'm going to do a more thorough analysis of each map as well. Although my map analysis skills are not the best, so I might have to wait until other people do some more discussion of these maps and then kind of see what people are saying to get more of a feel for things. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that, and looking forward to the new season, eh? All right, take care.